Trevor, it is so fantastic to have you on Marquee Backstage.
Oh, glad to be here.
Tell us how you first began singing.
Yeah, so I guess I started singing when I was very little, like a lot of kids. I'm a 90s baby. I was born in 97, so the big movies were Toy Story and Lion King, and they had and Tarzan as well. So they had phenomenal soundtracks, and that's when I really started singing, just around the house, kind of impersonating all the people in those movies, and singing those songs for family and friends that would come over. And I think that's where a lot of my confidence came from, was they really enjoyed hearing me and thought it was really funny, and they're like, oh wow, he's got a cute little voice. So I guess I was probably around 2 or 3 when that was going on. But I really started singing professionally when I was 8 years old. And it's so cool that we're here at Van Meter Auditorium, because this is kind of where that turning point happened. I was with Orchestra Kentucky. It was called Bowling Green Chamber Orchestra then. And it was some of the best musicians around. There's Billy Duvall, Tyrone Dunn, Sandra Dye, John McCracken, and the Rewinders. But it was called Motown Madness. Of course, conductor Jeff Reed had the orchestra doing amazing things, and they had me sing I Want You Back by the Jackson 5, and it was just right through those doors. There was about 1,000 people there, and I hadn't planned that I was going to dance, but I just kind of let go and lost control, and ended up getting a standing ovation every night that I did that. So that was huge, and at the end of the song I kind of popped up on my toes like Michael Jackson used to, and in that moment, that standing ovation, the very first time, I was like, wow, this is fun, and not only do I like it, but obviously all these people like it. And so that was really, really cool for me, and really a turning point in my first realization that I loved music and that everyone else loved it too.
So you enjoyed the attention that your talent created. When did you decide to take that to the next level?
Yeah, I really did enjoy the feedback from everyone. I think as a musician, we love to sometimes be introspective and think about ourselves, and be able to, use music as an outlet for ourselves. But when other people connect, that's huge. And I think from an early age, that's what I kind of grasped onto, and understood that it was fun to see everyone else enjoying and having a fun time through music. So,
did you go home and ask for more opportunities to perform? Like, were you so enamored with that experience that you were asking your mom, hey, when can I do that again?
Yeah, so as soon as Motown Madness was over, I kind of just started using a lot of different other things for music. My family found a talent competition in Nashville, which was really cool, and it was at the Opry Mills Mall, and it was a pretty big, it was called Traveling Music Television, and I ended up winning the competition, and along with that was $1,000 and my first guitar and a free demo CD and a free music video type of thing. So it was a really cool competition, a really cool package of prizes, and I also sang I Want You Back there. So that song was really huge for me between the ages of 8 and probably 11 or 12 until my voice changed.
So after 11 or 12 years old, how did the evolution continue to bring us the Trevor Martin we know today?
When I was about 11 or 12, I kind of stopped singing a little bit. I got more into acting. I was really heavy into that. I went out to Los Angeles for long periods of time, and had some success there. Got to meet with J.J. Abrams, who directed the Star Wars movies, and I went to the final callbacks for the movie Super 8, which was really cool, and then also met with Cameron Crowe, who directed Jerry Maguire and Almost Famous, and just some amazing films. And I was also in the final callback, I think down to the final 2 for a movie called We Bought a Zoo. Unfortunately, none of those landed, so I never really caught the big break, as they say. But the music kind of stopped just for a few years as I kind of explored that, but that really helped with my entertainment background as a whole. I think it gave me a lot of confidence to be able to walk into rooms and just be able to connect with people on a different level. So those years were very invaluable. So I think when I was 13 or 14, I decided to pick up the guitar, and it's one of those things that I tried to do at a younger age, but it's just not for every kid. I still had a passion for music, and I really loved that, but it took me a few years to say, I want to do this, I want to play guitar, and it took the girls in middle school for me to say, yeah, I want to impress. I can sing a little bit, and I want to play guitar. So I picked that up, I believe it was 8th grade, and just watched YouTube videos. I had a teacher that taught me for maybe a month or two, and then just went on YouTube and learned just about every John Mayer song and Jason Mraz song that I could. So,
did you do talent shows when you were in school?
I did a couple talent shows. I actually just watched one of them. I sang "I'm Yours" by Jason Mraz. I did a lot more talent shows when I was in elementary school, and those also brought the house down. They usually put me like last because they knew that I was pretty good, and I always sang "I Want You Back," and there was a few girls in elementary school that I was like, man, I hope they know that I can sing, and I hope they know I'm cool. And I was never like the coolest kid, but when I sang, everyone thought I was pretty cool. And actually, another start for this kind of goes back. One of my early thoughts of singing was when I was in kindergarten, and we're all trying to, meet friends and stuff. I would get the whole playground to come over to like this, the picnic tables and this little gazebo thing, and I would hop on the table, and like every kindergartner would be there, and I would just sing Elvis, Hound Dog, and it was like kind of my first concerts when I was 5 years old for all my little kindergarten friends at Rockfield Elementary. So
no shyness about you, always enjoyed being the center of attention.
I'm kind of weird when it comes to that. I really do like to be on stage and performing and being able to showcase my gifts and my songs that I've written and things. But I think now, more so than I was younger, I do kind of have more of a reserved type of, I don't know if I'd call it shy, but definitely more reserved type of feel. It's still difficult sometimes to just jump out and be the biggest personality in the room, and I really have a lot of respect for people that can do that and be boisterous and loud and say, here I am. And sometimes I'm that way, but sometimes I'm more chill, and I think it's good to have a pretty good balance and know when to be that person that's in the spotlight, and knowing when it's wise to be the person who kind of sits back and lets other people be the person in the spotlight.
So you mentioned John Mayer and Jason Mraz are some influences of yours, or at least artists that you would play their music.
Yeah.
How have they influenced your songwriting?
Yeah, so my biggest influences are John Mayer. He's number one for sure, and I listened to all of his music for years and years. My favorite album of all time is Room for Squares, which is actually John's first album that he released back in 1999 or 2000. So it's just got some great tunes on there. The first single that I released in college is called Feels Good to Be Loved, and that one, I haven't really done much with that one, but it's kind of a carbon copy of Room for Squares, which was really cool at the time, just trying to experiment. Recorded at a great studio, Ocean Way Studios in Nashville. I mean, everybody has recorded there, even Beyonce has recorded at Ocean Way Studios, which is pretty cool. But it was just a carbon copy of that, and it wasn't me. It was a replica of John Mayer. So, being able to take some of those influences. I also really love Dan and Shay. I love Brett Young. And being able to take them and say, hey, let's kind of make this my own instead of making it a carbon copy. So I'm very, very glad that I put the single out that I did back in 2016 or 17, but because I learned a lot from that. But now that I've put out my new single, Go To, it's just been a completely different reaction from people, because they're not just saying, oh, this sounds just like John Mayer, and they're actually giving me a listen. They're actually giving it a chance, and they're saying, oh, this is different, this is new. And I think Spotify has enjoyed the song and not just, called it another replica of something. It's a song that can be competitive in the market. So I think that's been pretty cool. But I love John Mayer, and even in Go-To, you can hear, I told my guitar player, I said, hey man, I want the guitar leads to be a country John Mayer, and I think he nailed it. I think there's some great country John Mayer lead lines in there. I think it's great. And then some Dan and Shay Speechless vibes is also what I went for. I think Dan and Shay tell great stories, and their melodies are great. And so just trying to take everything from other people that you hear and putting it all into yours.
So tell us the story behind Go-To, and tell us what's next for Trevor Martin.
Yeah, so Go-To is a love song about a girl who knows what she likes. She knows her go-to things, and the singer, which is me, is hoping that at the end of the day, he can be one of those go-to things. And it kind of came about when it was my first year out of graduating high school. I was meeting new people, going on dates, and just trying to get to know as many people as I could in Nashville, and asking a lot of people, hey, what's your go-to coffee shop? Or what's your go-to burger joint? Or what's your go-to restaurant? What's some of the go-to places that you go to? Just what's your go-to hangout spot? And I kept thinking about that, and especially on some of the dates I would go on, I would get some good answers, and I'm like, oh man, that's cool. And a lot of times, even in conversation now, people will volunteer, oh, that's my go-to. And I'm like, that's a very common phrase, and I think that's a lot of what music is, and country music is for sure, is just taking a phrase like that and saying, everybody says this, let's make a song about it. And that way it's a coined phrase when they say, hey, this is my go-to. I wanna be your go-to. They start thinking about, oh yeah, have you heard that song? So that's kind of where it came from, and the writing process was great. I wrote it with a buddy of mine. His name's Adam B. Smith. He owns the Robot Factory studio in Nashville, and we met through some cool circumstances. I have a bleeding disorder, and his son actually has a bleeding disorder. It's called hemophilia, and we met at an annual convention a couple years ago and started writing a little bit. And Adam has produced for Andy Grammer and Colby Calais, so he's done some really great work. But I still remember sitting down at the piano, and it was actually the second song that we wrote that day. We write every Wednesday, and I sat down at his real piano. He's got a real piano and a keyboard, and just sat down, and it was in the key of G, and I was like, hey man, what do you think about this? I know you got your go-to t-shirt. And I kind of had the phrase before the chords were laid down. And he was like, man, that's really cool. Why don't we push the chords back behind the phrase? And so I was like, okay, yeah. So it took me a couple seconds to get what he was saying, but we did the chords first and then the singing phrase, and it just kind of meshed perfectly. And I was like, wow, this is catchy. This is cool. And I walked out that day. We actually had a different hook the day that we walked out, and it didn't rhyme. The very end of the chorus did not rhyme. And I sang it that way for months, actually, and the song did well. People were really liking it, even with kind of a different type of hook that didn't rhyme. And the song got me a couple dates. Just gonna say, got to throw that out there, but because it is kind of a sweet, lovey song. But I talked to a couple songwriter friends and some people who have had some major cuts. And they're like, you know what, man, if I were you, I would rhyme this. I would rhyme, da-na-na-na-na, ooh, I want to be the one you go to. You need to rhyme that, man. Because I had, when you're headed home, I want to be the one you go to. So the home and go were kind of rhyming. But he said you need to rhyme two with, you need to rhyme that phrase before with two. So that's just kind of the writing process, and I know it's a little technical, but I don't know.
Love it. Now it's magic.
Yeah, and now it just kind of flows out, and it's hard to think about the way before.
So what's next for Trevor?
Yeah, so the next thing for me is just I've actually had really great success with this first single, and That was really exciting. I'm up to really good stream numbers, which has been very promising for me, and that was a big determining factor of if I was going to put out more music. My goal is to have a publishing deal and a record deal at some point pretty soon, and my hope is to get in some doors and meet some people there. But my other hope is to put out a single about every 3 or 4 months, and I think I'm going to be on track to do that. And it's fun to put out music, but it's a lot of work and a lot of promotion and a lot of getting people together. But I'm really excited for that, so keep your eyes and ears out. I think new music will be out pretty soon, and I'm very excited about that.
How can we follow you on social media?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Trevor Martin Music. You can follow me on Spotify, Trevor Martin, and also on Facebook at Trevor Martin Music. And you can follow my website, which is trevormartinmusic.com. So any of those places, you can keep up with what I'm doing, hear some music, and keep in touch.
Love it.